morning, everybody. All right, good morning. We're going to get everybody in. And if you will, please make sure your camera is turned off. Unfortunately, for this session, we need, because we have multiple speakers, then sharing with YouTube is going to be interfered by having cameras turned on. So if you pop your camera on, I'll be popping it back off. So I'll give you just a second to turn cameras off. Not that we don't want to see everybody. We love you. We miss you, but we got to have, we don't want to see squares of faces all over YouTube. Do we? No, we don't. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And we've got two speakers for you today. They're going to be telling us about their career path. We've got Tysen, deDufour, and Jeff Arthur. I'm going to butcher Tyson's name probably at least 5 more times.
No, you did great.
Mission is over. Utilize the chat feature if you have questions. You want to just say, maybe not ask a question, but you want to prod them about a specific point in their career. We got YouTube going, and if you leave questions on there, while we're live, we will answer those as well. After the fact, you can always go to auxiliary.uga.edu, go to the connections, auxiliary connections page, and under feedback, surveys and feedback. I'll get there. Still haven't had enough coffee yet this morning. Surveys and feedback, and you can leave feedback there either anonymously or you can leave your name. Tell us how we're doing, what we can improve on. So we're very glad to see everybody again. I will be turning cameras off here in just a moment because they do interfere with, when we have multiple speakers, it does interfere with the YouTube stream. I had to get that word out there. So I'll be checking out. I'll be the camera police and chat function moderator for you today. So we'll go ahead and get started. There, right? A comment came in. There's not enough coffee for some mornings. Hello, hello. Out there, just saying. So we'll go ahead and get started. Tyson's going to kick us off, so go for it, Tysen.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. And good morning to everyone. I'd like to say thanks for joining in this morning to listen to me ramble a little bit about myself and my career and my ascension at the University of Transportation and Parking Services. So if I can just take a second here to remind everyone what day it is. It's Tuesday. It's 10 a.m. I know it's a little hard to keep track if you're not looking at your calendar or your phone. You know, this is all a little weird and strange, but I do appreciate everyone chiming in, and I hope that I don't fumble this too much. So Randolph called me last week and asked me if I could share with y'all my career path so far at the university. And I thought, well, if I'm gonna do that and speak about how, you know, I became, you know, a manager in this position, I should probably start with what brought me into a management role to begin with. And so without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to the presentation. I just have a few slides. Let's see. I believe that should be working. If everyone can see that slideshow, maybe someone give me a thumbs up.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, thank you. All right, so here we are. Career Connections 102, Reflections of a Career in Transportation and Parking. Share this time with Jeff Arthur from Transit. And so let's go. So starting with my adult life, let's say I don't think I had much leadership when I was a child, but maybe just a little bit. But I during my senior year of high school, I was not born in Lakeland, Florida, but I grew up in Central Florida. And I decided halfway through my senior year of high school that I was going to join the military. Not really thinking that in 1992 that was a good choice, considering Desert Storm had just occurred a year before. So my mom and my sister were not very happy about that. But nevertheless, as soon as I graduated, the military asked me, when do you want to leave for basic training? And I had all that signed up. And I said, well, I'd like a little bit of time. I said, maybe give me a month. Well, exactly 1 month to the day, I was off to boot camp. They did not waste any time. That was, I think, my first real life experience in having some form of structured leadership. Besides, the leadership from my parents and friends, families, and schools, teachers, etc. So I left for basic training. Then I received tech school training. I became a ground radio communications technician. And here's a breakdown of exactly what that involves. But let me just summarize it in this: fixes things you talk on. So with all that, I went on to being assigned to Robins Air Force Base after completing tech school. And I was assigned to a shop within the 5th Combat Communications Group. That unit was more like the Army. We were always deployed. We were either doing training exercises or real world exercises, which led me to being deployed to Kuwait in support of Operation Desert Storm. By that time, I was already in charge of 2 different shops with 2 different types of equipment. You see on the left there's these things look antique, but they kind of were at the time anyways. But that was a tactical switchboard, and I knew I had to learn that ins and out so I could train all the other airmen that came along to use or work on that equipment. The device on the right is a UHF VHF transceiver. It's a mobile equipment. There's only a couple shops in the Air Force that knew how to run those. And while I was in the desert, I had to put together a team to help train others to do that, how to fix it and how to talk on them. My next step after the military was when I got out, I went back to my hometown in Lakeland, Florida. And while I was going to school, I took a part-time job at Blockbuster Video. And if some of y'all out there don't know what a Blockbuster Video is, there's a picture on the bottom right there. It's a video store. You can go in and you can actually touch movies. You can pick them up. You can rent them. You can bring them back. You can buy them. What a concept. It lasted until just into the 2000s, where streaming video took over and out went Blockbuster. I ascended through my ranks there rather quickly because I started right before the holidays, and that prompted them to hire more managers and more employees. So as I moved to Athens, Georgia, I started moving up in the ranks in Blockbuster, and some of those things, or as I did, that had more responsibility in my leadership. I did stuff as training individuals, staffing, training, managing, and made my way up to be a district training store manager, which was all of this area, Athens, Watkinsville, Weiner, Monroe. I traveled all around the district, training individuals and making sure we were up to snuff on policies. And then I realized Blockbuster was going out, and I said, I need to get something different. So I looked back at electronics. I went to Athens Technical College to finish my degree in electronics and started looking. And weirdly enough, there was a position posted for parking services for electronics technician too. I said, what does parking have to do with electronics? And I applied for the job, and they said, you would never expect anyone to know anything about gate equipment. But here I was, and I said, I'm going to learn it and I'll figure it out. And sure enough, we worked with our proprietary vendor, ITR of Georgia, did some training with them, did lots of on-the-job training, and we started to grow. We hired another technician, and then after that, we hired a third technician, Charlton Scott and Joey Wagner. Both worked with me for years, and we took care of all the gate equipment on campus, and we did installations and progressed through different types of permits and equipment. And that's why I say we grew, we trained, and we adapted. In the university is always looking to make technological advances, so we've moved along with that. In 2013, I was inducted into the Auxiliary Services Circle of Excellence. I like to say I was honored by that because of my participation in different groups of individuals. We would get together, try to make improvements. I was always interested in taking classes and trying to do training and development courses. And I've always felt that employees should take advantage of that as well to better themselves and kind of open their horizons. So now within transportation parking service management, I became an interim parking deck manager when transportation and parking merged. We had some changes at transportation, and I've been working for Mike Cosby, and he went to transportation and took over 2 different interim positions there. And now he is the maintenance manager for transportation. And I applied and was hired for the deck manager position, his whole position. So as I was getting my, getting accustomed to that position, as deck manager, I was involved in deck restorations, planning, more involved with financials, and doing a lot more stuff with procurement, ordering items and following up on those orders, et cetera. And then as a parking deck manager, there's been other projects that have been added to that. Examples are, since we're moving from less gated areas to non-gated setups, we've had other technologies included, such as deck space counters, and the utilization of pay machines, and also using your phone or an app to pay for parking, Park Mobile. Which leads me to my current position today, with some other changes within our department. I now also have the compliance portion, and that puts me as parking compliance and facilities manager. And as far as the training that I received along the way with the Air Force and Blockbuster, a lot of that, not so much in Air Force, definitely so much in Blockbuster, customer service. Customer service was huge, obviously there. And I've always looked at that as being one of my core training experience for what and how I do things at transportation and parking services. And when we look at teams, and we're all part of the auxiliary team, but we start breaking it down to our individual teams, I think that us working together, we have a great group of individuals, and I think that we all want to do stuff to better ourselves, and that's where it makes my job a lot easier, because when in times like this, when we all have to come together and be on the same page, it makes it so much easier. And I think that the training that I've received at the university, particularly, management courses with continuing education and training and development, those really have built my that's really built my background and my strengths. And those are the kind of opportunities that are available to all of us. And I really stress that that's something that y'all should take a look at. Y'all should take advantage of. And the most recently, with all the training that we're doing from home using Linda or in learning, and looking at training that's been set up online for individuals, I think this is a silver lining here, that we can all do this, and we can take the time and work it into our schedules. And if there's stuff that you want to learn, or there's something that you would like to focus on, take advantage of it. I think I don't know if we want to go to the Q&As now, or
Yeah. So,
let me stop my.
what brought you to Athens?
Okay, so I was stationed in Warner Robins, so I was kind of used to this area. And you can't repeat this to my wife, but I was dating someone, and but luckily that was a different time, same place, a different time, and I'm glad that it brought me here.
Awesome. Overall, how has becoming part of UGA changed your life?
Oh, I mean, it's been incredible. I think we're such a great family, and my wife also works for the university. It's just, I'm proud to say that I work for the University of Georgia. It's big. And I don't think that I would have, like, looking back and decisions of, if I would have done something different, I probably would be thinking, wow, I should have got a job at the university.
That is a good point. All right, Jeff, if you want to go ahead and share your video, we'll Tysen, what are some ways to foster and strengthen UGA's family feel?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What are some ways to foster and strengthen UGA's that family feeling?
Well, I think that we're kind of doing it right now. I mean, even though we're separate, we're chiming in and we're participating. I think, take advantage of the things that are set up that are given to us as opportunities to become, more of together, more of a unit. The F&A, days, the employee appreciation, et cetera.
Awesome. Can you talk about the SMS teams and mentoring?
Oh, absolutely. So if we're talking about, we had some we had some teams that were developed within parking services back in the day, and we use that to grow and improve on our appearance. And we took in inputs from all the employees. We asked people to to join the team and to bring their ideas to the table, and we were able to take those ideas and actually bring them to fruition. Not just making visual improvements to our facilities and parking areas, but also our processes and how we, not just for the customer, but for ourselves.
Awesome. Career-wise, what do you see as the next step in your professional life?
Well, I as far as I see myself now, I'd like to get a little more experience on the compliance side with transportation. I've been involved with it, but there's a lot that I'm not completely familiar with. So I'm sure Gary and Neil and his crew will help inform me of that rather quickly. But moving from here, I would like to find myself or see myself in a position where no matter where I go, that I can take this kind of environment and hopefully have the same situation, having a group of people that really want to support you and when they're asked to help, they jump to it.
Excellent. What advice would you give to employees wanting to advance in their career?
I would say, please take advantage of all of the training opportunities that you can. Again, I said, the training development courses, continuing education. If you can, work in use the TAP program to take advantage of, free classes at the university. Even taking time out of your day or working it into your schedule to do the in-learning courses. Just, keep motivated and keep connected.
Okay. Did you know that the TAP program is for any University System of Georgia school?
Well, I did not know that, but I recalled you saying something in one of the other sessions that you were using it at a different location.
Yeah, Americus, Georgia. If you don't know where Americus, Georgia is, neither did I, but you should look it up because it's way down there.
That was one of our training areas. We would use that lots of fields.
What is SMS?
I thought so. We're talking. I was talking about the SES earlier. That was our slogan for the the volunteers, and it stood for Succeed, Exceed, Smile.
Exceed, smile.
Succeed, exceed, and smile.
Okay. Jason says safety management system, SMS for transit, SES for parking. Wow, all the SS's. So we've got a lot of questions coming in about TAP. So there is a link to TAP. There is in the chat function, but for our YouTube viewers, if you go to auxiliary.uga.edu and auxiliary connections, you will see the link under the additional resources tab, and you'll be able to access that TAP information. And TAP, if you're not, we've got all of these acronyms this morning, SMS and SES and all these others. TAP is the Tuition Assistance Program. What's your favorite? What's your favorite UGA story? And then we'll get to Blaine.
So I think I did the opposite. I've become less hairy over this whole stay in place. A funny story about the university. I might have to come back to that one. I'm not sure right now.
All right. I think we lost. Where'd Jeff go? Let's see. Lots of love for the TAP program. You will love it. It is. There are deadlines, and I'm just going to shameless plug for the TAP program. You do have to apply for the school or apply to a school and be accepted before you start the application, the TAP application. So you have to be accepted as a student, and then so it's kind of the same scenario. that a regular student would have. You apply, you're accepted, and then you work the financial aid side of things. So, so the first step is pick your school and apply. Okay, looking to see if we lost Jeff. What would you say while we're waiting on Jeff? What would you say some setbacks or challenges you faced in advancing your career, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Well, as far as it just in my employment here at the university, you know, when I was first hired by transportation for parking before it became part of transportation and parking services, you know, the learning the equipment, that was a really big challenge, because I mean, you know, the parking equipment is a very specific, you know, category, and it really took a lot of time and effort and a lot of on-job training to learn that stuff. But I think that just kind of helped solidify, like, looking at things from different angles, and it's relevant to not just parking equipment. It's relevant to when we change a process or we come up with a new policy, you know, taking a look at that and being able to absorb it or step back and take a look at the bigger picture. And in those aspects, like, you know, again, I mentioned, you know, I had Charlton Scott and Joey Wagner. They were huge in, you know, making those adjustments with the equipment. And it's like the same premise, where you get your teammates involved and you work together as a team. It makes it a lot easier.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tyson. We got Jeff.
Hey.
Ready to go.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, all right. Well, do you want me to turn my video on, or, well, I can.
Yeah. Yes, please. You should be able to.
It says it won't let me because, here we go. It says you had to do it. There we go. Hey, there I am. Okay. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'll say I don't have a fancy presentation like Tyson did. I just found out about this yesterday, so I apologize for not getting fancy. But to your benefit, you just get to look at this a little bit more, so you're in luck. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I guess start off with, first of all, I'm from Blairsville, Georgia, which explains the accent. So that'll explain that. If you have a hard time understanding, it's called mountain. It's the talk I have there. So, but I grew up in Blairsville, Georgia. Beautiful mountains up there. Went to Young Harris College, graduated from there with an associate's degree. My wife and I transferred to UGA. When I got here, I worked at J.C. Penney. I was making a big whopping, I think, $5.15 an hour, which I think was a minimum wage at the time, and had to leave from classes, go home and change real quick, drive out to the mall where J.C. Penney is, and work there. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, why are you doing all that?" He goes, "You should get a job at Campus Transit." He goes, "They pay better. They start off at $6.35 an hour, which is, you know, almost a 25% pay increase." I said, "Yeah, that sounds good." And I know it doesn't sound really that good right now, but back then I said, "Man, that was pretty good," because that was in 1994 is when we moved here, so that's when that was. So I worked at Campus Transit as a student bus operator from 94 to about 97. It was fell in love with the job pretty quickly. I definitely enjoyed the people I worked with. I enjoyed the actual job itself. I got to be on campus the whole time without having to go home and change and then hurry up and drive out to work somewhere. So that was kind of nice too. But long story short, I did that for 3 years. Did not finish my degree. Went out into the world and started working different jobs and things. Did things like I was worked at a car dealership for a while. Found out that wasn't for me. I did get to sell some Corvettes though, which was kind of nice. I did enjoy that. So but didn't last that too long. I found that wasn't my line of work, but ended up working for Zaxby's corporate for many years, and that was actually a fantastic job. I really enjoyed that. And not having a degree from Georgia, I felt like I did get a business degree just by working there. When I first started working there, there was about 35 stores when I first started there. When I left there, it was over 300. So it was kind of neat because I got to see how business was built and how business was ran. And I learned a lot from doing that. And I'm very thankful for the time I had there. Sometimes that I was doing, simple things like just teaching a franchisee and his crew how to cook chicken fingers. And it seems, like there's not much to that, but, I did learn to communicate with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. I also was very observant of the franchisees and how they had their successes. So I tried to pay attention to that as well and learn as much as I can from there. Like I said, I felt like that was kind of a business school for me in a sense, where I got to learn a lot about how things operate, how things grew, what business models look like, that kind of thing. So I did that for several years. And then finally, I was trying to branch out and grow some more. And I realized not having my degree kind of held me back. I had a lot of doors slammed in my face because I didn't have the degree. So I said, what, I'm not gonna let that happen again. I need to go back, and I was pretty close. I need to go ahead and finish my degree. So I came back to the University of Georgia, and that would have been 2008. And so I said, I should try and work for transit again, because that was, my wife always told me, you enjoy that job more than any other job you ever had. I said, well, you're right. So I said, let me go check on that. So when I came back, they had a student bus operator position again. I thought, well, I will start off with that, but I really want to get on full time. I need that with, wife and family and everything. I needed that. But so when I came in, I said, I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm going to look and see, and I'm going to talk to everybody and kind of see what jobs may be becoming available soon. And thank goodness, about 3 months, dispatcher position came available, and applied for that and was able to get it. So I got on full time then. That was beginning of 2009. So I did that for several years. Applied for the operations supervisor position. Did not get it. So I was like, man, I thought I was going to get that, but I had to kind of make a decision at that point. I said, well, I didn't get it, and there's probably reasons for that. And I said, let me figure out what those reasons are. So I asked around some and tried to figure out, what are some things I could have done differently. So then I started looking at the people that were doing that position. I said, I'm going to mimic some of the things they're doing. I'm going to try to learn from them and see, from their successes and what they're doing. So I did that. And then the next time it came available, I applied for it, and I was able to get it. And so I did that for several years. Then I got transferred to the training department and was a training supervisor for a while. And there was actually back up before I got transferred there was a operations manager position came open, and I said, that would be the next step for me. I would like to do that. So I applied for it, did not get it, did not get a second interview. And I was pretty crushed about it. And I thought again, I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and get upset about it? Or am I going to take what I can and learn from this and figure out what I could do differently next time, what I can do to grow? Because I want to make sure they couldn't say no to me again the next time if there was a position open again. So went to the training department, like I said, as a training supervisor, enjoyed my time there. I was doing that. And then the interim position came open for that. And I thought, hey, that's my shot to try to throw my name in the hat to see if I can do that. And so when it came around to that, I was overlooked, wasn't even considered for it. And I thought, well, man, I didn't get a chance to say, hey, I'd like to try that. So again, I got stuck in one of those spots where I could have been offended, upset, stomped around and moped and stuff. Or I said, you know what? No, they didn't notice me. Okay, fine. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen again. It's not easy to do, but that's what I started thinking. So so the next time there was a situation where the interim position came open again, I guess my director had noticed that I'd been trying to make some changes and trying to advance myself, and he noticed that, and he had offered me that position for the interim. And I thought, this is fantastic. I get to, kind of test out my skills, get to test drive the job, so to speak, and implement some of those things I've been learning and trying to figure out. And so in that process, also, I had talked to some of the people that did my interview before. And I asked, what are some things that I could have done differently? Or what are some things I need to grow in? What are some things? And I just was very open and asked them. I said, I understand I had to get a position in that, and that's fine, but what are some things that I could do to grow? And so the things they listed for me, some of the things, and I took note of that, things that I could work on, some things that I could, to do better next time. So the position was officially open to apply for, I did, and got it. So I say all that to say, I could have easily gotten the dispatcher position, got turned down the first time, either got upset and never applied for anything again, or I could have said, well, I'm upset with this place, I'm just going to leave then, and went and found a job somewhere else. But I knew that wasn't really what I want to do, because I really did enjoy being at Transit. So I want to make sure everything I did was going towards the goal of me being able to advance where I was at. So I think that's a hard lesson to learn, but it in 10 years, I went from a student bus operator to the operations manager, and I'm very proud of that. But I mean, I think a lot of it is some of it's timing, some of it is you learn along the way. I always think about the Wright brothers and how many times they were trying to build the plane and failed and failed and failed and failed, ran out of money, failed and failed. And if they would have given up after a couple of those times, I'm not saying the plane would have never happened, but somebody else would have discovered it, I'm sure. But everybody knows who the Wright brothers are because of that. And people don't talk about their failures, but I bet you if you were able to talk to them, they would talk a lot about their failures and how they learned from that, and how they grew from that. And to me, that's some of the best learning, I guess, I've ever had, is when I learned about, from being told no or being passed over. It kind of made a difference, and it really helped me to focus on the things that I could do better. And and that's really helped me out quite a bit. And then so I've been doing that position now for, I guess it's coming up on 2 years now. I've been enjoying it. And through all this too, one of the biggest things I learned probably in the process of all this, and I have to keep relearning this, is I never get hung up on the job title or position. I used to a lot, and I looked at that as my status. What is my job position? What is my title? That's who I am. And I realized that, it doesn't matter if you have a position that you feel like is below what you should be at, or if you have a fantastic, prestigious position. No matter what it is, you shouldn't get hung up on your job title, and because you're so much more than what your job title is. And that's not what makes you, and isn't what defines you. So that has actually helped me to kind of grow and in my confidence as well, because there were plenty of times where if my job title wasn't good enough, then I'm not good enough, that kind of thing. And I think getting past that and realizing I am who I am, not because of the job I have, because of who I am. So I think it makes a big difference. And I think that really helps a lot of people to get past that too, to really be able to be who they really want to be, and who they need to become. So that's one of the things definitely one of the things I learned. Another thing I learned was you can't get by in this world just for your good looks. I've tried it. I'm telling you, if it doesn't work for me, it's probably not gonna work for most. So that's been a tough one, but that's kind of my story and how I got. What's that?
I said that's getting some laughs. That's a good one.
No, I was serious. No.
So what'd you finish your degree in?
I got my degree in history. I was the intention was to be a high school history teacher, which I was really looking forward to. But once I kind of got it Transit there, and I finished my degree in 2010. So only about 19 years after I started it. It was not a big deal. Most people were called doctor back then, but I'll take the bachelor's nonetheless. But once I got done with my degree, I thought, well, I can go ahead and try to go teach, or hey, I could just stay here and see where this takes me. And I'm glad I did. I've been here, I said, about 11 years now. So vested, yes. And so looking to continue on.
Awesome. What would you consider the biggest advantage of being an employee for auxiliary services?
For me, to me, there's a lot of opportunity within auxiliary. It covers a vast amount of stuff that the university system does. So I've enjoyed the time getting to know people in other departments within auxiliary as well, and making some connections there. So to me, it's a very, very well run, very fun place to work. A lot of, like I said, a lot of different opportunities. I really enjoy it.
What was your biggest hurdle moving through the ranks of campus transit?
Really, I guess we've grown some since then, but really the toughest thing in a long time was, the good news was that people didn't want to leave their job. People enjoyed it. So for a while it was hard to move up, because like, man, this person's been there for several years. Is a position ever going to come open? So sometimes you get that, and I even looked at other things too, because sometimes I thought, well, I want to grow, I want to advance and stuff. So I don't want to just, I want to look at all my options and stuff. So there's times I looked at other things as well, within the university and outside the university. But I knew in my heart I really wanted to stay at the University of Georgia if at all possible. And really I wanted to stay at transit if at all possible. So I was patient and tried to wait for my chances, but also I explored other things too, just to kind of keep an eye out, because I didn't know, maybe my talents or would be a good fit somewhere else too. So I always say keep my options open and kind of look at that. But I've definitely enjoyed my time here. So I wanted to advance that as much as I could too. So
what's the next step?
Well,
what's your next step, Jeff Arthur?
That's a good question. I don't like to tell all my secrets, but I mean, I'm 11 years in now. I would love to retire from the University of Georgia. By the time about my retirement age, would hit 30 years, which is kind of nice. And so I don't know what avenue that'll take me at the university, or where I'll be. Definitely enjoy my time here. So I definitely want to continue doing that. But I could always look at what positions are open. So maybe Robert Holden retires, I'll just move into that position. Who knows? Whatever.
What's your favorite part of being a manager at transit?
Ooh, really, the people I work with is really what I love about it. Drivers to supervisors to even student drivers, everything. Just getting to interact with that fantastic group of people has really been great. I feel very supported by all of them. There's been great work with, and then the people that I'm just surrounded with, I think has really helped out a lot, because if I have issues, or if I have something that I need help with and stuff, I've always got several people I can rely on to help me out there. And to me, that I've had jobs before where if I couldn't do it, it wasn't getting done, and that was it. And I didn't have the support I needed. So I've got some really good people surrounding me and stuff, and not just inside our department too, but with parking stuff, I got assistance from them. But I've also worked with other people from other auxiliary, and people through FMD have helped out a lot too. Had some good relationships with them. So really inside the university, but being in this position, I've got to really meet a lot of other people. They've really been helpful, and it's been really, really cool to work with them.
Jeff, both you and Tysen have gotten a lot of love from the chat, a lot of thank you, a lot of love.
Excellent.
So I want to make sure you knew that. What advice would you give to a frontline employee trying to implement a new program or process within transportation? Transportation parking services. Let me get it all in there.
So, like I said, so trying to implement something new. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, a new program or a process.
Well, the one thing that's unfortunate is, at least within our department, is all the drivers come in and they're out, and we don't get to see them throughout the day and stuff. So you don't have that normal office conversation with, hey, I've got this good idea. Let me run it to my manager. Let me run it to the supervisor and see what they go. It's a lot harder to do, and I hate that about it. But I always tell people, send me an email, give me a call, stop by my office, talk to your supervisor, those kind of things, because it's the best ideas are going to come from the drivers. I mean, that's just the way it is, because they're out there in it every day. They're on the front line every single day. They know the routes better than any of us do because they're doing it every single day. I have a good idea of how it runs, but I mean, when you're in the trenches, you really see what works and what doesn't work. And so I do try to get feedback from them often. But as far as if they've got great ideas, I mean, I hate to say it, oh, this is a good time to do it. I mean, I hate that we're having to go through this, but now is a fantastic time to present those ideas. We've tried to encourage the drivers to say, hey, I've got a good idea about my route that I think would make it so much better. We always look at optimizing the routes and improving the routes. And man, they're going to have some great ideas that I wouldn't even have thought of. And so I heavily rely on that. And so if they have those ideas and thoughts, run it to me, supervisor, those kind of things, so we can start looking at those, because we're looking at that stuff now to see what we can do. I'm actually about to start tapping some shoulders too, to see if I can stir some up too, to get some ideas and stuff too. So anybody that's listening, if you have ideas, please let me know about what to do to, to make transit better. So.
Yeah, on YouTube, we had a comment that said, your story seems like you've been through different situations, but you always never gave up on getting a position or striving for the best. What advice do you have for somebody else that is going through that?
Yeah, to me, it's when you get to that point where you hit a brick wall and you think, well, I can't grow. A couple things. One, don't give up. Don't assume just because somebody told you no at that time that that's always going to be the answer. But figure out what you can do to make sure they don't say no the next time. There may be some things where you have some weaknesses that even you're not aware of, because we all tend to think of ourselves a lot more highly than we should. So if you have some weaknesses, my wife says I have a few, and I tend to believe her. I don't admit it to her, but I tend to believe it. But yeah, if you have these weaknesses that you can work on and some things that you can make yourself a better candidate for that position, by all means, try to figure those out. I always try to ask some of the people that interviewed me, because I figure they're gonna have the best, best advice for me. Because they're the ones, the reason say, well, I don't think he had this quality or she had this quality. They're gonna think that kind of thing. So you could always ask the people that you have interviewed with if you're able to do so. Sometimes you're not able to, but also I just try to keep my eyes open for other things too. It may be I think this is the one I want. This is it. And really, it may not be the best fit for you. Maybe something down the road a little bit different that may be better for you. So don't just get hyper focused on one thing, but look at your options too and see what you have, because there may be something that's a better fit for you. And you may be just running after this one job just either because of the money or because of something else. There may be something that's actually a better fit for you where you're going to do well and it's going to be a perfect fit for you. So but yeah, anytime you can learn from mistakes you make, or anytime you can learn from being told no about something, getting turned down a position, it's not easy. It's not fun. I mean, I'm not saying that every time they told me no, I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to pick myself back up and do it. There were times I went home for a week and said, man, this stinks. I hate this. But I didn't stay like that for long, because I knew that's not going to get me any further. That's going to get me further behind. And I didn't want being told no to change my attitude and change who I am, so I could keep pushing forward.
It's a great reminder for everybody. What would you say would be your think bigger picture for transit?
Well, there's different things that come to mind, but now that we're kind of in this situation where we're not going to be there for a while, we're going to have to train a whole bunch of people, these kind of things. I'm starting to think along those lines. Okay, how's this going to look, and how is our operation going to look differently going forward? We may have to think about how we are doing our routes, how we're doing our service stuff. So it's going to end up being a lot focused on that probably here in the next little bit to make sure we're ready to go once we're back up and running again. Really think bigger, man. Sometimes it's hard to think of that. I get so busy in the day-to-day and the making things function all the time. And sometimes it's hard to pull back and kind of look at that. I need to do that more, I know, but sometimes I get so buried. It's hard to think outside the box sometimes and kind of get going. You're just trying to keep the wheels on the bus rolling, so to speak. But I love the ideas that we've kind of come across where, and I think Robert may have mentioned the other day, where we're putting the possibility of putting like a roof over top all the buses that would be solar panels. To me, that'd be fantastic. One, it gives the drivers a dry area to pre-trip, post-trip, check out buses. probably serve for better lighting in that area around the buses, but also, help protect our buses as well. And then, of course, that's energy to get to charge those buses without having to pay, because you're kind of generating it yourself. Those kind of ideas, sometimes I hear those, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think Robert mentioned one the other day too about, and Donnie's gonna do something where you as a student, you can come cook your own food and stuff. And I thought, that's the kind of things that, sometimes I hear that, I was like, man, that's a really cool idea. And I try to think about things like that. Not that we're going to cook our own food on our buses, but try to think about things like that that could help improve transit as well. And there's all kinds of ideas that I get from drivers and supervisors, and I think of too. And so it's easy to get hung up in the day to day though, and that's what I try to break out of occasionally and try to think of some other things that I can think of a little bigger and going forward.
Awesome. Well, we really do thank everybody for joining us for the session this morning. Thank you to Jeff and Tysen, to both of you for being here and for sharing your stories and really motivating. We really appreciate it. If you have questions that come up after, you are welcome to please send those through the survey and feedback link, and we will address those. And so we'll
also put my address in there. If they want to send cash or checks to my house, that'd be fine too. We can put that in there as well.
Right.
Venmo. Hey, that stuff's fine.
That's a no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard no. So, all right. Well, take care, everyone. Stay safe. This afternoon, don't forget, is the parking services fireside chat with Brett and Robert and Alan. Yesterday, Robert actually had his fireplace going. So in true fireside chat fashion, there was a fire. So stay safe. We'll see everybody tomorrow, if not before then. And I hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.